What's up? What's up? Check, 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 check. Good morning and welcome back to another live session. FRGT looks like it's going to be the one today. As usual, for those of you tuning in on YouTube, remember that day trading is risky. All right. Day trading is risky business. So, that being said, the watch list today. FRGT and EPWK. SEMR, I believe, was a buyout. I can double check. Yeah. And KZIA, which is selling off, could be a maybe, but definitely doesn't really look that good. So top two, FRGT, EPWK, KZIA. You know, if it does something, maybe, but I highly doubt it. It's been penny stock after penny stock here the last few weeks. So today probably will be the day that the trend doesn't change, right? It'll probably be the day that it doesn't change. I think I said that a little backwards, but that's fine. But yeah, more than likely this is going to be the one, and hopefully we're able to see some continuation here. Started off around 9 a.m. and we had a push coming up here to 103. Pullback has been holding up so far around 90 cents. We'll see if it's able to continue. I do want to double check the daily chart. So I'm going to detach this and just pop one open here. Quick sell. Max 1 day. Let's zoom in. We're around this price point right here. And so we had these two massive red candles recently. 206 and 205. Are we going to get up there to $2 today? Probably not. Maybe we'll see like 120 if we're lucky, 150, hopefully. But FRGT, we definitely had two bigger candles that sold off. Good to mark it out just in case, right? Just in case it does have that strength to revisit those levels. We'll see. But so far, so good. It looks healthy. I think, it's fine for now. Where do I want to put this? I think I'll put this over here. My Thinkorswim account will be officially in the slums, I think on the 25th or the 26th. We had the issue yesterday with Cloudflare, so I figured today I'll just still use this one just to, not have any issues. But tomorrow we'll be back to regular charts at Day Trade Dash. Okay, I'm gonna start up my screen recording. Let me grab my notebook here. Just look over a couple of things. Yesterday we had a lot of these better moves coming off of the lows in areas where it was a little bit difficult to be in. Ultimately, towards the end of the day, I did decide, hey, you know what? We've been getting an aggressive move back up off of the bigger red candle. I'm going to try to get the bottom of the bigger red candle. That happened to be literal backside, right? Literally backside. Like the red candle, just another red candle, not a red candle, to the point where it's like, okay, sticking to your guns and being consistent with one thing, which we know is always the key, right? Not to try to change too much. Instead, just stay the course. And so today we got to make sure to stay the course. Um, we definitely got to make sure we pay attention at the open. And so what that means, I'll just double check a couple of things here. Start up my screen recording and make sure. I'll start up my screen recording and make sure all my due diligence here is ready to go, so that once it hits 9:30, we're absolutely positively ready to go. Don't forget, if you're tuning in on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. You know, we've asked over the years. We've never really gotten a video where we ever had everyone to hit the thumbs up. It's usually about 60% of people, even on the better days. So if you're tuning in, be sure to hit that thumbs up. If not, it'll become my birthday again for the 11th time this year. My volume is low. You know, I'm talking kind of softly. Maybe that's what it is. I can turn it up. I'll turn it up a little bit, slightly. Check, 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 check. But hopefully it's not too loud. RT is whispering. There's 4 minutes to go. Let's make sure we do our due diligence here. So looking back at the notes, of course, we don't want to get distracted, look away for any reasons, broker reasons or anything else. On those bigger flush outs, we do want to pay attention for the VWAP. Again, with the falling knife, we just got to avoid it and not try to catch that bottom for that quicker red to green, even if that's the short-term trend today. Typically, overall, in the long term, sticking to our guns, waiting for the red to green will be better for us. So, keeping that in mind, when we do have better dips that are holding tightly, we still want to keep in mind our total share size relative to how much we want to scale into the trade, and have a good stop loss there relative to support. So with about 3 minutes, 50 seconds to go, just going to double check my charts, make sure everything looks good. Hotkeys are ready to go. It's another beautiful day. Another beautiful day. Yes, Webull is, we've pulled up the right stock already. Everything checks out. And we have 3 minutes, 20 seconds, the opening bell. I took some trades on the other platforms earlier pre-market, not too much there, but let's see. You know, cheap commissions and free commissions, there's a conversation there. But if the fills at commission brokers are going to be slightly faster, but then there's a small fee, right? Versus maybe like a millisecond more delay and then free commissions. Like, you know, you can like kind of like switch between the two depending, or, you know, utilize one or the other or both. Just, you know, again, as you're tuning in, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. We got 2 minutes, 30 seconds. My aligners that I have in it are a little different, so I might sound like I have a lisp at times. Just a heads up. I'm just ready to get this thing over with, man. Like, I did Smile Direct. They went out of business. So I wasted like 2,500 there. Just, you know, they just one day, hey, no more service, right? And then now this Invisalign, which it was even more money, it just doesn't end. So 5 minute candle and make the new high over 98. Looking like we could see something here early. Time, 2 minutes to go. Bit of a false breakout there, though. It's going to come down to the supports. Can we hold up our support levels early on? Feel pretty good? Feel ready? Although the Smile Direct one was a little bit my fault. You know, the last trade that I had, I lost it on a team house, which I don't know. I did put it in tissue paper, which they say not to do. But I was certain that I had it in like a good place. It still somehow just disappeared out of like my jacket pocket somehow. Vertical pocket too. Anyhow, FRGT, will we be able to see 110, 115, 120 eventually over time? 22 seconds, and we're currently at the $1 area. I know, such a delayed fill. The halt level's at 14. And it can move quickly, right? It can move pretty fast. And it has some good range, which could end up being a good thing here, but hopefully it can sustain an uptrend. Okay. Well, we see 103, 104. It has a lot of range, like a little more than you'd expect. So positioning definitely key. The good news is that it is holding up so far. We should see 10 if it's strong. We should see 10 at least, close to it. Watching. Can we see that extension? I'm gonna try to get back in a little lower. Come on. 101 would have been a little bit better there, but it's up so quickly. It's definitely moving a little slower than expected over one here compared to how it moved at like 90 to 95, 96. It seems like it's even slower, right? We had a lot of range just now. What's the time? 38. Well, a little flat after all of that. I think the best move there was break of one the first time. I'm watching to see if it does a full on retested highs, but again, it's moving pretty slow every time it gets over one compared to sub $1 price action. SGBX. A bit of a chase right there. Let's see if we get 6, 7. Bro, I could never get the fills I want coming out. Like, we get to 05, it's back down to 03. You know, missing the 2 cents profits there. It's showing a wick all the way to 10. Guys, don't forget if you're watching on YouTube to if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. FRGT, slow move here. I don't like this false breakout here again, so I'm thinking if I want to just stay on the sidelines until it gets over 06. Or I could try, maybe I could try the lows again. We had supported the VWAP just now, so we'll see. It's looking interesting. I don't know if I caught any of that, but I'll try. It's like I can feel this stock just trying to break out and it just doesn't go as far as it could. Longer holds, longer holds, longer holds. I want to be a little careful of a pullback. It looks like I got some bad fills, but don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Not good. No bueno. It might be rejecting. Wow. That is quite tragic. On the best dip of the day here for me too. Our previous resistance did not turn into support at all there at 05, 06. We're as low as 02. And our 5-minute candlestick is giving back the entire move here. We're now at a topping wick. It might even go red to a shooting star after clearing the resistance. Not what we want to see. I mean, we did have a good move up over 103, but this is just not what we want to see. So as the uptrend is beginning, I'm definitely going to look to take on a little bit more risk here, being that we've cleared the resistance and short sellers should be under pressure. So I definitely want to take this pullback with some size here. But it's just tanking. If we're breaking over the consolidation, typically that's where people are going to look to, cover some shares. Some of them might look to add into the move up, being a little bit more aggressive to the short side, even if you want to say stubborn. And so on the pullback, bulls coming in, we retest the highs, get a new high 15.16. Instead, we're here at 92 on a bigger flush out. After a very good red to green too. Good volume, but now is the red to green worth trying here? It just looks so bad now. Like short sellers are in full control. Like this bear flag will probably just go lower. If this does a red to green back to the highs, it's kind of just chaotic. If this goes back to the highs of like 106, 108, it's kind of madness. The stairs going up and the elevator coming down. SGBX and others, not really a ton out of those. Although SGBX in a bit of a red to green. Bearish engulfing. I gotta check my fills too, because we had 9,000 shares at 5, if I had to guess. I would hope at 5, and not, too terrible of fills. Again, if this thing comes all the way to like 106, it's just, it's just ludicrous. Because if it goes all the way up, then not even the short sellers are in control. Mm. The halt is at 14. See, this definitely makes it hard to gauge for me. Like, we'll see where we bottom out here, but definitely a little strange move here. High of day is at 12. Oh, shoot. That's a good bounce from 04 right there, but not quite enough to get back over the highs, or at least to the highs 10, 11. Bro, isn't this crazy? Like look at this consolidation that we're having right now, right? This is exactly what I was expecting on this last area where I took the big size 05. just unbelievable, man. Right idea, wrong timing. But once we've cleared the resistance, like going back down to new lows, this never makes any sense. Is there some manipulation? Pretty sure short sellers are feeling pretty good that we could break down below 90 and continue lower. It's things right back up. We got lower highs on our last couple of 1 minute candlesticks. There's a new low right there, but bouncing. There's still another like 4 minutes to the next 5 minute candlestick. The moves are very slow to play out. Can we push through or are we going to get rejected here? Does it have what it takes to sustain itself? I think if we're back below like '05, the entire breakout is fully ruined because it moves so slow. Even this could be it still holding up the level. We'll see where the candlesticks closes. But it definitely plays out in like slow motion, right? Time. Oh, can our thing work here? VWAP is at 01. Will we see another bear flag here? Well, it's definitely been a little choppy, this one. Our best chance for the last breakout was, of course, the first green candle and this flag right here. I was in at 7 on this consolidation. My stop is below 504. 3-cent risks for the potential breakout or retest of the highs. So it took big size here in this dip. It flushed out. The dip that came after the red to green, didn't trust it. This, of course, is the dip that held up to go to the new high. Second pullback here, no good. So both of the areas that I got in for the continuation It's just straight Titanic. Didn't take the red to green trade at the lows because the setup looked a little weaker in my opinion. I think there's a bounce trade in here, but not expecting anything close to like red to green to the highs. Bounce trade as in lows 92. Hey, maybe we can see 97 bounce, but I'm avoiding those type of trades right now. But this is the trade that continues to the high, like. So it could still be worth watching. Maybe there's another red to green at some point. But once we do clear the highs or at least the resistance, we're not able to hold up and pull away at all. Maybe not enough long bias traders holding into the push. Maybe short sellers are coming back in aggressively rather than covering. So we're not able to hold up that 115, 114, and then potentially get that new high 120, 130. So yesterday or the day before, right, when I said like I'm going mad, like look at the nonsense, right? It is quite silly. Those areas, I tell you, man. Stock sometimes doing its own thing, not confirming to normalcy. As we know, the market can be irrational, though, right? The market can be irrational. I think tomorrow what I will do though is maybe try to be a little bit more fast in terms of like entry and execution. Because I'm thinking a lot of the times like it might be a little less risk once we clear certain levels to continue. But like even a trade like this, right? Like, hey, if we can get above the VWAP and then maintain a level here, maybe we can then continue 104, 105 again, 106. But maybe the better trade is just to take the first 1 minute candle to make the new high earlier. 99, 98. It's a 1.5 cent, 2 cent difference in the trade, which maybe could make the difference in terms of getting the follow through. Like if this setup here comes back down to 99, right? Like holding it is not going to make sense, which might mean a full retest of the low of 97 and or continued breakdown if it doesn't hold. But being in a little closer, might just be a little bit better here. Even though it's just like 2 cents apart. because getting above the level right there. So this is an example, like getting above the level right there at VWAP. It kind of didn't really mean much to get the 1 minute candle to make a new high again. And there's the chop, right? And it's right back up to 102, 103. I think it could be a good adjustment to try. Because if this does get to 104, 105 right here, it's like there are no real scalp opportunities, right? It's just a matter of like being in and just holding it until we get to like oh 06, oh 07, and then a decent trade comes like up here. Two back-to-back good sized red days here. Like again, even trying for the breakout here at like 103. Gotta master the lows. Master the lows. Does it have what it takes to hold up again here in this area? 97, 96, 98? Or will we break down? These trades are some tough trades though, because our 5 minute candlesticks usually are red. Our bigger time frame is a little red. And if we're below VWAP, we can easily break down and flush out. But these are the trades that can position you to get the move going back up. A lot of what I would consider like normal charts, normal moves are, it almost seems like a little upside down, right? So earlier we had a false breakout at 110, right? Big move to 108, 109. We kind of pulled back down to $1. We came back up. We got a new high of 12 by 2 cents. Our second candle in that move was red and closed at 09, pretty much relative to our highs. But we get the breakdown here all the way down to 92, which, chart wise is kind of insane to see. Then the aggressive move from 92, where you would think, okay, from 92 up to 112, we're now a little extended. It would make sense to see more of a pullback here, let's say to $1, right? Because we came from so far down. 92 to 112, and we end up holding 105, you know, like a 5 cent pullback off the highs. In the area where we came from $1 to 112, the pullback was 20 cents. You know, typically it's just not what we're gonna see. It's just, again, kind of like upside down. The bigger the move up, the more likely the pullback to have size, right? Just relative to the percentage gain that we just had. We do get the breakout off of 105 to 115. That pullback is now at 98. So yesterday we got caught with 4,500 shares on two side stocks. Today we're going to get caught with big size in one of the main pullbacks for a $400 loss, and then some chop on top of that. It's still fighting here in this consolidation. If it's able to get over 103, we could definitely see something. Our 5-minute candlestick is red. We're red on the bigger time frame. We're below the VWAP, which normally would indicate, hey, this is just going to keep going lower, right? So I'll keep watching here just in case it red to greens. But these trades here are definitely tough for me to take. Like, hey, I'll stab this 98 level, especially because then, it'll be way more scalping. Then before you know it, your account could be in the slums. So don't want to be scalping too much here. So, just kind of wait. Which is why I'm taking the trade a little higher. But it seems like, it's a little easier to get chopped in these levels like this. Around, like 101, 102 for essentially like a breakout of the bear flag. I think I'll continue to use smaller size, until we really start seeing some better like linear moves in the charts. Some more momentum as well. Maybe it stocks over 2 to 3 could be a little bit better in terms of the speed as well. We don't need the instant move, but 30 seconds, a minute could be pretty good. Definitely not happy to be down $500 in 2 days straight. Like, it's a little too much. A little too much. Looks like the mighty had left out already here in the chat. Maybe an early day. Pre-market, by the way, was a little slower. Pre-market, we didn't really see much until this one came up. Like, not even like one move, really. So is this one going to hold here over 3? I'm gonna attempt the micro here. We'll see if it's able to hold its levels and continue for 105 and 110. Just a 2K position. So over the next couple of minutes, assuming it doesn't like crash here back down below 99, will we be able to see 105, 110, and then a potential retest? The old-fashioned bear flag red to green attempt. I wouldn't mind getting a couple more shares if I can here. Same stop though. Same stop. So our risk is about 2.5 cents. 3 cents, you can say. Will the 1 minute candle be able to make the new high, and will we slowly curl up to 5, 6, 7? It definitely plays out in slow motion. There's a little bit of volume coming in. I'm gonna take half, a little early 6. One setup has worked out great. Not holding for 12 because the way how this thing is moving, we might not even continue up. So small trade. Time. 2 minutes left in the 5 minute candlestick. Okay, can it halt up? Like that's beyond expectation right there. I didn't even think it was possible this stock could move like that, right? So, it is impressive, but probably a one-off thing. Big Steve, we got a glimpse of previous markets in that push. Ay, ay, ay. I didn't take the dip down at 10. Just, my expectations is a little all over the place. So we had an extended push from 12 to 22 and then a dip to 10. Didn't take the dip. We're back up at 22. Just on the sidelines here watching the next potential setup. I should have been in on the dip. My expectations, I guess, were beat, and I didn't really adjust quickly enough to realize, hey, jump in. So I missed that dip. Got to be careful though, and not overdo it here if we are to get another pullback, just in case there's a flush out. Because the stock has proven that even though if we get a good move, we can still drop pretty big. So definitely we'll have to proceed the pullback with caution whenever it does come. And preferably if we can be in on a red to green a little tighter towards the lows will be better. Not trying to catch the falling knife. Unless it just keeps going. Maybe it could. That's, I'm speaking in terms of a pullback. If it keeps going, maybe we can break out over 26 again and 30, 32. Off the last breakout from 92 to 112, we did have a tight pullback, so it's possible we can hold up tightly. I'll keep an eye. I wonder if anyone had the intuition that the stock could have gotten to 120 right there. Don't you do it. Bro, swear to God. You see, the speed of how the stock moves gets me so many times. I'm in and out flat, and then there's a 5-10 cent move. Also a little unexpected though, but nice. I expected 25, 32, or 37. It's saying it's the high, 37. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Ross minus 7K. Small loss. Okay. Will we see 32, 34, 36? There's some buying. There's 31. Still seeing buying, but like it's stalling out. So far, it's holding up tightly here. It's a pretty big drop. Will we hold the bottom? I don't want to try the falling knife too aggressively. So 26 gave out right there. I'm gonna throw out a baby starter. Oh shit. So the 5 minute candles made the new high. I think we can see 30, 31, 32, so looking to give it some time. I wouldn't mind adding if I get the opportunity here. We're seeing a bit of an overshoot there in the last pullback, the last candlestick. I'm gonna try it again, and still watching the same trade. $20. It looks like it's coming down. Well, that was my last setup there. Retesting the lows. It's a good sell, but not a good day. That was my last setup. I will say this was a good push here. Money man from 4 years ago. Expect the unexpected. Definitely a little slow to react in this area though. The pullback to 10 and 15 was decent. Didn't take any trades in there. Looks like this could be backside. The last attempt at a 5-minute setup here. The 1-minute pullback high didn't continue after the new breakout. The 5-minute setup gave a good shot, but no good here ultimately. So taking the trade in here and looking for the 1-minute candle to make the new high to retest 26 and then a potential push to the high spot. Definitely a little frustrating to be red on this one. The halt down is at 02 if it keeps dropping. Biggest loss in the month twice in a row. Not too good. Not too good. I don't remember how low this wick went at 10 a.m. If it was VWAP or lower, but this consolidation ended up being pretty good earlier. The bear flag red to green. Another good setup here, but just out too early. I sold at 6 and 9. And our previous highs were 12. We ended up going to 30. Just by the way, for the day trade dash charts, this is one of the only things that I kind of like. I think I'll miss for now. Hopefully they're able to add it, but I'm gonna send in this like note for feedback. When you have a segment or like a trend line like this on Thinkorswim, it shows you the percentage of the move, relative to like the starting point and the distance. I think it's pretty useful. But yeah, definitely frustrating to be red on a stock like this, man. Like the analysis overall not too bad, but paper cuts, paper cuts, paper cuts, and a lot of charting that, I'd say a little tough, especially with the expectation. This right here, one of the more brutal areas. Sell off below VWAP, but yet we're seeing a massive red to green to the highs. So in summary, we lost half our day here on this drop after like a bit of a choppier start. So I think small green at the time, but lost pretty big here. Didn't take the pullback trade going up, thinking the setup was a little too weak. And because of this bigger drop, no confidence in this pullback to hold, which ends up holding. Man, so, going back to 2 days ago, I'm like, man, I'm going to go mad. This right here is a good example. Like, bro, there's no way. There's no way, right? So took a big loss going down here at like 9:50 a.m. on the pullback. The setup looked a little weaker in my opinion, didn't jump in. We had one of the bigger moves earlier going back up. Lack of confidence in the setup to hold because we didn't hold the last time in the same area. This area, of course, holds. I'm not in. I then take the second pullback after the breakout again, which doesn't hold. And you can see the type of red candle that we got right there. Didn't attempt to dip down here. Again, we're below VWAP, a little choppier. But notice that we're holding up. So took this setup here over VWAP. Got a good trade. Although, in hindsight, we sold way too early, 06, 09. The stock were ripped up from about 8 to 22. And normally I'd be all over this type of dip, but I don't know. It just, just seemed a little, I wouldn't say tough to jump in there. I guess I kind of got caught off guard. So the question became, is this actually going to become a strong stock to keep going, right? So didn't really jump in on the dip here, which I think these trades would have been really good if I were to take. Of course, in hindsight here, we did curl back up, right? So the dip to 10 and then the dip to 15, 14 right here. Held up nicely for back to 20, back to 19, back to 22, somewhere there. That type of exit, 5 cents, 5 cents, 8 cents, it adds up pretty quickly. The 1 minute candle to make the new high at 18, pushed up to 23 and then 26. This setup, just this one is comical. I'm in on the 1 minute candle to make the new high. Again, I think my hold time right here was the issue. I'm in for about 25 seconds. And I'm like, okay, I'll wait for the next down tick, get back in, a little lower towards the support, and then watch the wave going up. And we boosted up right here to 37. I mean, this one was brutal. This one was pretty brutal to miss. 30 from 20 to 37. That's the type of trade you don't want to miss on this type of stock. That one was tough. But I was expecting 25 though, like a retest of the highs, 25, 26. If I did keep holding, I would have gotten the move because of how quickly it ended up happening. Once we got to 25, it just teleported up there. So getting a good fill at 30, 32 could have been pretty easy under the context of how the candle moved up. And I mentioned too, the last breakout that we'd had earlier to 15, the first time, or to 12, held up tightly. Even this one before the breakdown, held up fairly well. So it's okay, be on guard for this thing to potentially hold up tightly. And I sold the freaking trade early. Not good. This pullback doesn't work. And then the 5 minute setup doesn't work. Although a good curl up though. We had 5, 6 cents on realize. But of course, looking for the retest of the highs. Did I overcompensate for selling early the first time? Maybe. But I was looking to add back if we're going to hold up over this, bit of a resistance that we had earlier at 22. Add back 22 and then if we're strong enough to retest right here for the 1 minute candle to make the new high again and have like a small flag here to then retest the actual high of day at like 30, let's say 32, 35. But 26 is back down and I'm stopping out for a loss right here. 19. So in summary of a day like this, right? When I look back at a day like this, all in all, in terms of like going haywire and doing something like crazy outside of the scope, none of that happened, which is good. But on the other side of that, you know, the charting and execution just wasn't there for me, especially earlier. I mean, even later, right? I don't think I'm a little too rigid on what to expect out of the setups, but earlier I think the charting was just a little bit more tough. We were pretty sideways for a while there before we got going. Mm-mm-mm. I sized down for a good portion of the day. You know, gained some confidence, of course, in this move going up. So we did use a little bit more size on the next setups, which didn't really work. Is this like thing with trading where like you're very close, but you can still be very far at the same time? If this pullback here doesn't fail miserably, like the day is such a drastic day, right? Again, this kind of like set the tone for like the first half of the loss that we took at like 10, at 950 on this bigger dip here. Because we would see like a different formation in like the patterns, right? In terms of what would have held and having more confidence to jump back in and take the trade. We definitely got to work on taking this type of setup though. So we failed earlier. Gotta try to be back in here with a little bit more aggression. So 03 ended up going to 15, which is a pretty good move. So area of opportunity to improve right here in this consolidation. These bear flags, you know, I think they're just a little too tough, man. Some people love them. Some people love to take these trades and, you know, capture the move early. You know, if we look back in hindsight, we came down here once, twice, three, four, 5 times and held in this area. Do I want to hyper scalp these dips here? You know, normally when we're below the VWAP and short sellers may be in control, you know, lower highs in this consolidation is usually where we'd expect to see a bigger red candle like this, right? Like this one. You know, hey, short sellers in control, long bias traders who might have been holding lower, you know, cutting flat or even for a loss and the stock breaking down. So most of our bigger red candles came from fairly high up relative to our lows having, you know, bottoming with green candlesticks. It's like the extension starts pretty high, and then we get pretty calm in the move down. I mean, this one here, a little, pretty much the same. Bigger red candle down, you know, a bit of a small green trend here, and then now we're seeing like a bigger candle down again. Similar to yesterday, though, like it seems like opportunity wise, like it feels like a day to be green. It's how I'd explain it. It feels like a day to be green, but you know, here I am down 1K on this freaking move. With the two biggest red days of the month back to back. Back to back. So area of opportunity to improve in this type of consolidation. I think in this one like this, in this one here, like 9, I gotta use a timestamp, right? For people just listening. For the consolidation at 950, I think these dips are a little bit more tricky, as in like I can get caught in this anytime because, you know, the pullback looks pretty good. I'm not buying on a downtick. I'm actually like buying on an uptick most of the times after we drop down and we're starting to curl back up. But what happens is we can bounce up 2 cents and then like another flush out can come. So that uptick is what essentially creates the bottoming wick, you know, in this time frame here 5 minutes later. So I think in this particular situation, it's just a matter of, you know, keeping the confidence to just try the setup again. So area of opportunity to improve right there, which could then put us in position to potentially get the next breakout. So, you know, that'll involve a little bit more trades, which is fine. And then I'm not sold on trying to get these lows down here. I think it's just too risky. Again, some other people might really love these setups, you know, getting the bottoming wicks in the bear flag. Bro, what? There's no way I'm muted. How did I mute it? How did I mute the mic? Bro, no way. Is it that sensitive my hand hit the thing? Oh man, bro, are you kidding me? How long was that? Now I'm gonna get some comments saying the mic was in the depths. Was that for a long time? Shoots. Okay, yeah, I was saying for areas of opportunities to improve, um, we got to be a little bit more confident on the red to green, even though the initial setup failed. It's going to be tough for me to take this type of bear flag because of where we're curling up from. If it's above VWAP, we're going to be more in position to take it. But in the event that we're back up, we got to be more confident to jump back in this range here between 9:55 and 10 a.m. to position ourselves to capture the breakout going up. So that's one of the areas of opportunity to improve. I called out, you know, hey, do I want to try, you know, taking some of the dips lower in the bear flag? I think I'm going to pass on this one because it's just too risky, right? I think it's an area where I'm just not going to have the confidence. And these areas a lot of times can break down for lower lows, you know, where short sellers are more aggressive, you know, in terms of just holding their position for that move down. I think I'm going to pass on this. But in the event that we do get that 15, 20 cent breakout like we did right here, got to do a better job at recognizing, hey, this thing went from a sleeper stock moving up 5 cents at a time to more of like a big dog stock. So with that in mind, got to jump in more aggressively here. I let the setups at 110, 114, and 115 go by just out of like not really shock, I'd say, but you know, I guess my expectations were just like blown out of the water. And I didn't know what the stock should do in a sense, right? But I did notice like, hey, we're bottoming out at these levels. Sometimes you got, even if it's just a starter position, just to to kind of gain that control again in terms of being in the driver's seat. So these levels were pretty important here to grab shares off the highs, and all three times I didn't take positions. This one here is probably the only one I think maybe I can give myself a little bit of a pass on. I sold right before the move, but ultimately, if we're in that trade, the whole time is what's going to be the key. And I believe we were in at 22. We were in at 22, needed to give it a little bit more time. After it didn't go, after that like 20, 30 seconds I was in, I was thinking to take the next down tick to then try and, capture the move to 25. This one ended up ripping up nicely. It is good to see us hold up this move though. This dip, it is good to see that this dip held up twice today. We have seen this fail a lot in the past. After, it used to work really well, but I'd say the more recent past, we've had issues where we get that big move up and the retracement ends up being like 100%. But good to see, from 22 we held up 110, 114, and then from 37 we held up 27 and bounced back to 31 and then 32. Granted, the bounce wasn't that big. From 27 to 32, still 5 cents in there. So, if I'm to grade the day, right? There's a lot of good things about the day. And then there's a lot of things that we can improve on to be better for next time. Despite ending red 1K, I'd say it's a kind of like a C minus day. I wouldn't really say like a D or F because there were still a lot of good things, but definitely areas to improve. So being that we're max loss, we're going to get out. Shut it down. So that's the recap, by the way. A good 5-10 minutes review to end the day. How are we doing on the SPY? Is it our 5th, 6th red day in a row on the SPY? SPY is somewhat flat. Right now, it doesn't seem like we have any major economic issues. Although, unemployment is going up a little bit. Inflation should be coming down naturally if people are losing their jobs, right? Even though some of it is due to AI, there's going to be less spending, which means inflation should be going down slowly, which means the rate cut should make sense. And maybe some of the selling pressure in the overall market will ease a little bit. But I'll definitely be buying more of my favorite companies here in the large cap world for swings. Meta definitely looking a little attractive here for me to buy some shares. This is not financial advice, as stocks could keep dropping. But for me personally, where I am with portfolio stuff, I think I can start taking on some small positions on some of the more exaggerated individual stocks. The SPY itself is holding up firm, but we're seeing some tech stocks pull back. And I think that's it for the day. Definitely a little frustrated 2 days of red, of bigger red. I don't know, SGBX. I have SGBX on my other screen, and to me, it just doesn't really look like much. But that's how a lot of these stocks are starting off nowadays, right? They look like they're dead, and then eventually you get a $2 share move. It's definitely slow and steady. But tomorrow we'll be back again. So for those of you going the distance, uh, continue to trade with discipline. Continue to be patient. For anybody that wants to see the yearly P&L, you can check out, I think, yesterday's video. I see some questions here. We're out like south. We are out like south. The slums, man. The absolute slums. Catch you guys tomorrow. By the way, I was here since like 7 a.m. I didn't stream in pre-market because there wasn't anything up until 9 a.m. with SGBX. But before that, there was like actually nothing to trade. But yeah, take care. Stay safe. Stay green.